Trent Alexander-Arnold, very nice to meet you.
My pleasure.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Welcome to FourFourTwo. Now obviously there's a million places we could start, but I think probably the most important one is on this changing role you've had within Liverpool sort of last season and this season, which I think everybody now agrees the consensus has been brilliant, both for the club and for yourself. So can you tell us a little bit about how did that happen? Like, when did those conversations start? What was your reaction to sort of being told that we're going to change what you were doing? Were you open to it? Were you a bit cautious? What was your feeling when you first discussed it?
No, I was open to it. I was excited. It was a couple of days before the Arsenal at home game, the 2-2. But we didn't have much time to work on it too much. We had a couple of days. There was not too much. It was more. I always felt like without putting a label on it, I've been given that freedom to drift into central areas. Not so much players like a 6-6 or a right in midfield, but being able to drop into like a back three and create a back three, being able to push up high in players almost like a right winger. We've got possession in the right half space. I've been able to create for years now, so it didn't change too much. I just kind of seen it as, for me, I've always believed that the ability and the skill set that I've got is best suited to play in the middle of the pitch, and you get the best out of my specific skill set by playing in the middle of the pitch. And I seen it as the opportunity to show the world that, and that's what excited me. I thought, this is the opportunity. I might have only one game to do it. If it doesn't work and there's pressure or people say it failed miserably and this, that and the other, and it shouldn't happen, then it might be the only opportunity I get to be able to show people what I'm capable of in that area of the pitch. So seen it as an opportunity and tried to make it work as best as I could, and it just flowed very naturally. And although people like to label it as the big change for me, there's a lot of change for the whole team and how we build and how we are as a structure and as a unit to adapt to me being able to come to the middle of the pitch, and there's a lot of change in roles within that.
With this sort of new role, when you approach a game now, obviously, I mean, defenders moving into the middle or carrying the ball, that's nothing new. It's been going on for decades and decades and decades, but this particular role feels very new in sort of the way it's been defined. So when you're approaching a game now, what sort of your primary focus? Do you try and focus on what you've got to do from a defensive position, like what you were doing previously? Or now, because you've got this freedom, as you say, do you try and focus on how you can use that to sort of make a real difference further up the pitch? Or does it vary between games?
Both, to be honest. My main focus, and always has and always will be, is what do I need to do to help the team win the game, and how can I win the game for the team, and whether that be defensively or offensively, I'm prepared to do that. And there's been games, even in this, people will talk about the games where I've been able to dictate the play and played nice passes and won games that way, but there's been games where I've had to be a lot more defensively sound and not really been able to get on the ball on the pitch, but had to create space for others and defend it at a high level and help the team win it that way. So for me, it doesn't really matter. I like to impact the game on both ends of the pitch, and if the flow of the game and the feeling of the game that I pick up is you're not going to get the ball too much in the middle and you're not going to be able to dictate it and create as many chances, then find a different way. And if that means defensively doing your job as well as you can and stopping the winger and the attackers from scoring, keeping a clean sheet, and somebody else scores the goal or assists the goal at the other end of the pitch, then I've helped the team win the game.
Just as an aside, were there any particular games that stand out to you where you realise this system is a great fit and it's going to work long term, or was it just sort of been a gradual thing?
I think it's evolved and it's changed and it's adapted in many ways. I think so far I think the first one that worked amazing was we played Leeds away. The game after we played Arsenal, we won 6-0, I think. That's like most touches, most passes, everything like that. It just felt like I just dictated the whole game, and that's when I was like, yeah, this is gonna work. And then there's Yeah, it's just like this is natural. Everyone's moving in the way that needed to happen. I was moving, I was getting on the ball, I was able to do what I needed to do, and as was everybody else. And you know, when you win a game 6-0, it means that you've done something right.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot. Then there's been games where I've been man-marked and I've just felt I can't get on the ball, I can't do anything. How do I do it? How do I get on the ball? How do I make things happen? And I think looking back to the Villa game this season, there's a big contrast because we played Villa at the end of last season and they were so compact, so tight that I couldn't get on the ball. I felt really restricted, couldn't do anything. And then this season we changed it and adapted it where I was dropping into like into the back line. And because they were still so tight to the high line, I was able to play balls in behind, and it worked that way. Similar to Arsenal this season when I was able to play the ball to Mo. So it's changed, it's adapted. It's not a set mould and a set figure where it's very restricted and rigid. It's free flowing. Yeah, I have that freedom to be able to kind of just feel where it's right, and people around adapt to that.
Speaking of where's right, obviously people love to obsess over the optics of stuff, but when they announce the England squads later, they tend to put you in that bracket on the little PDF they do in the midfielders. Is that how you see yourself in that England side now? Do you sort of expect to be in that conversation with the midfield polls as opposed to sort of a defender who moves into there? Is that how you see your role now?
Yeah, I think so. For England, I would say I'm now a midfielder. I think from the conversations and the PDFs that get released into the media, then yeah, I would say judging off them, and then I will be a midfielder. And something that excites me, something that I see an opportunity to go and be able to get into the team, and that's something that, like I said, it really excites me.
Is that where you see yourself long term for England? Do you think that sort of can you envisage that changing in the future, or do you think that's where you offer the most?
Well, I think if it works, if it's working, then long term, I don't see a reason to change that. So I think you've got to judge it off performances and results, really.
You'll have to stop me if I got this one wrong. I recall reading somewhere that you watch a lot of football and like to analyse it. Just as a random one, has there been any teams you've seen this season or played against who've really impressed you with what they've been doing, or who've like stood out as being like particularly interesting?
I think probably the most interesting team over the last year or two in the Premier League has been Brighton. So I would say Brighton are the one that when I'm able to watch one of their games, it's always entertaining, it's always free-flowing football. The way that they build up and play out from the back is exceptional and really brave. And I think, yeah, I would say Brighton's been the one.
Was it as enjoyable to play against?
Oh no, it's a nightmare to play against. It's an absolute nightmare to play against. Yeah, it's a very, very difficult game.
Last question. It's probably too far away to really think about, but have you envisaged, I'm thinking just because of how good the tracksuit looks at the minute, being a coach anywhere down the line? Is that something you've got sort of half an eye on in the future? Do you think be good at it, or is that just too... I mean, I heard you saying to Matthew that you don't even want to think about like what you're going to get out in 5 years' time. It's at least that far away. But has it ever been in the back of your mind?
No, it hasn't, in fairness. It's something that I wouldn't never rule out because I think just the passion I've got for football is something that I'll never lose. So I think potentially down the line I could see that happening, but yeah, I've still got a lot of learning to do within the game still.
Not playing.
Hopefully there's still hundreds of games left for me to play, so I'm excited for that first and foremost, and then who'll know about management, but it's not something I've ever really thought about.